Joseph Kiss Farewell, take 47. I just want to say hello to everybody there. How long have I got, Julie? 5 minutes? Okay. Let's see if we can get that far. I've been a friend of Joseph for 35 years plus that he's been at the General Hospital. 35 years. Not counting a little stint he did at, was it Queen Victoria, which closed down not long after Joseph left. I'm not sure if that's the reason it closed down. It could be. Let's not go there. I want to point out to everybody that I actually knew Anita and Tibor, Joseph's wife and brother-in-law, before I knew Joe from primary school. So I've been in the family, as it were, for a long, long time. So I've got a few stories to tell about Joe that probably should be edited out, but I'm not going to edit them out. However, there are some suspicious. Take 48. Let's look at some of the stories. Right, Joseph and I were in ultrasound together, we were in X-ray together. We're always on the same side, against whomever. And sometimes we're on the edge of getting sacked or whatever. I just want to say that Joseph's always been, he's my closest and truest friend over all those years. Every time I go back to Geelong, I've got to go out with Joey. We've got to basically come back into the same conversation. I think that is definitely the same conversation, I'm sure. We're just such good buddies that it doesn't matter at all how long we've been away, how far I am, how far we've been apart. Now, of course, he's going to Tasmania. It's going to be even further. But speaking of Herbert Hardy, did I mention him just before? Or did I edit it out? Herbert, Dr. Hardy was always a great fan of ours. He thought we were wonderful guys. There was the time, however, he did find some reason to be a little bit irritated at something Joseph did, and the rumour, the urban legend is that he threw a 1210 cassette, X-ray film cassette at Joseph. We're not sure if it hit him on the head or not, but there's no reason to suspect that it did, other than Joe's behaviour ever since then. We had a lot of interactions with radiologists, Joseph and I. I just saw a name here. I'm just going to tell you the story of Joseph and I were recently qualified. He was qualified a year before me, of course, and when he'd come back, and not 2 years before, he'd come back from Queen Victoria, and we both been allocated, paired up into the angiography room. And the radiologist scheduled to do the angiograms that day, that week, whatever, was Brian Fazackley. Dr. Fazackley is a nice guy. We had a great time, drinks after work and stuff like that. We end up, he's a really sweet guy. However, this particular day, Joseph and I working together naturally didn't work efficiently as perhaps another team might have done. And we didn't really create a successful angiographic experience for both Dr. Fazackley and the patient. I forget what it was. We left the film out of the cassette or something, out of the AO2 machine, things like that. We had the wrong exposure set guidelines. So we both had sort of assumed that the other one had done the stuff that they'd assumed we'd done, and in the end it wasn't really the most terrific angiogram experience ever, as I said. Now, I had mentioned to Joseph before this episode that Dr. Fazackley had an interesting facial features, some interesting facial features. He was a little bit jowly, so he had these sort of jowls that hung a bit down. I'm overweight, I can't talk about this, but he was more jowly than I was, and it was sort of a soft tissue. And I'd noticed that every time Dr. Fazackley moved his head, as I'm doing now, or his jowls would create a little rhythm as he moved. And I had mentioned this to Joseph before the angiogram. Was it after? Anyway, before the angiogram. Anyway, Dr. Fazackley was wild at us. He was so incensed. And Joseph was nominally in charge, so either of us has screwed it up, but Joseph was normally in charge, and Dr. Zackley in his green gown and scrubs had cornered Joseph in the what do we call that room? The writing room, the writing up room, the reading room, whatever. The films come out of the processor, and the film's coming out blank or whatever it was, and he was just going to town on Joseph about how irresponsible you guys are and how you should have acted like responsible citizens and done the right thing. And of course, as he's getting angrier and angrier, his jowls are swinging more and more, and Joseph just couldn't listen to what he was saying because he was working so hard not to laugh. And I was standing behind him, behind Dr. Zackley, over his shoulder, and could see Joseph's face, and he could see mine, and how he didn't just burst into laughter, and it's just beyond me. It was the funniest experience. I'm sure Joseph remembers it well. I certainly do. Shuffling papers here. There's another story. Perhaps I should or should not tell. This is not to do with work at all. There was a time that Joseph and I used to go surfing together, and we'd planned this trip to get out to Ceduna somewhere, to famous surf beach. The name escapes me. And we took a couple of other guys and we drove out there. My God, we drove all the way out there. Now, the details of what happened is in Ceduna, they're staying in Ceduna. Okay, I'm not going to share too much details here. One thing is, though, I did take notes and I did take photos of that area. And Joseph, I just want to point out that somewhere in your files you still got them, and they were going to be my first ever novel, but I still haven't written anything other than blog posts or these comments. But it was a funny time as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just happy to see that Joe's moving on. I thought everyone should have left Geelong Hospital at least 20 years ago. I don't know how you guys have survived. And I reckon now Joseph's leaving, they're going to have to check the foundations because to make sure that the hospital doesn't fall down, because he's been such a solid personality in that hospital, certainly the medical imaging department, that the foundations must be unsafe. Swear to God. Joseph, just to wrap up, I wish you the best. I hope you have a great time. Cool, chilling out down there in chilly Tasmania. Even though you tell us it's warmer than Geelong, it's not as warm as Singapore. I want you to have fun. I want you and Anita to just have the best time, and I want everyone else to wish Joseph as well the best times. And I don't know what that is, but cheers to Joseph, all the best, and I'll see you in Tasmania, mate. Cheers. Oops, that was 7 minutes. Sorry, Julie. I'll stop. I'll see if I can edit it out.